The gospel reading this morning is from the gospel according to Matthew, reading from the 16th chapter. I'll read verses 21 through 28. Listen for the word of the Lord. From that time on, Jesus began to explain to his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and suffer many things at the hands of the elders, the chief priests, and the teachers of the law, and that he must be killed, and on the third day be raised to life. Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him. "Never, Lord," he said, "this shall never happen to you." Jesus turned and said to Peter, "Get behind me, Satan. You are a stumbling block to me. You do not have in mind the concerns of God, but merely human concerns." Then Jesus said to his disciples, "Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. For whoever wants to save their lives will lose it. But whoever loses their life for me will find it. What good will it be for someone to gain the whole world, yet forfeit their soul? Or what can anyone give in exchange for their soul? For the Son of Man is going to come in his Father's glory with his angels, and then he will reward each person according to what they have done. Truly I tell you, some who are standing here will not taste death before they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom." This is the word of the Lord. Thank you. Please be seated. There was a song out in the 60s. It was the early 60s, but it was certainly the 60s. And who wrote the book of love, right? Anybody? It was a big hit for somebody. I don't remember who did it. It got a little play on Big Bang Theory several years ago where Raj claimed it was the Indians who did it. The Indians didn't make the book of love, by the way. They wrote a book on sex. They were the Johnsons and Johnsons, or the Masters and Johnsons from that era, I guess. If you want to know who wrote the book of love, we carry it here. This is indeed the book of love. It's God's word. We talk about our understanding of our relationship with God, God's relationship with us, and our relationship with each other. And that entire relationship is based on love. I know that when we read through the Old Testament, I know that when we are studying this every Sunday morning, it's like, not this again. Because it seems like anything but love, but God's love is poured out through the entire Bible. It is hard to find it. But the fact is, God loved his children and loves his children so much, he will forgive them again and again and again. He will also do whatever it takes to bring them into line and have them do his will. This is not a world of love. All you got to do is look at the news. They don't have good feeling stories on the news anymore. It's got to be a really slow news day for that. This past week, or maybe the week before, recently anyway, Yalitza was staying over with us and she was watching the news. And every night as we watched the news, we'd hear about not just one, not just two, sometimes 3 and 4 shootings in San Antonio itself. We're not talking about across the nation. We're talking in one city. And she said, when is this ever going to stop? It's going to stop when people put away the hate in their hearts. And when people start to do as God has commanded us to do. There is so much hate. And Paul tells us in the letter to the Romans that we're not supposed to do hateful things. We'll see how these glasses go on this part again. I think they're computer glasses. So I think from a distance I'm going to be good, maybe from somewhat of a distance. He says, in view of God's mercy, offer your body as a sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. Okay, that's at the very start of the book. He's talking right then about yielding to God, yielding what you want to do to God's will. And then he says, love must be sincere. In other words, you can't just give it lip service. You can't say, oh no, I love him, through God, that is. Because talk's cheap, isn't it? You can say anything you want. But what you do have to do is you then have to prove it. You have to show it. And you don't show it by as soon as you're saying that and they walk away saying something derogatory about them. Because that's not love. It certainly isn't sincere. Hate what's evil. He's not, there's no question about what he's saying here, right? Hate what is evil. Does anybody not know evil? When you see it, we've seen so much of it lately. Hate what is evil. Murder is evil. Racism is evil. It hurts me to say, but sometimes even the love of our country puts on a face of evil. That, by the way, is the same country that a lot of our fathers fought for. The same country I served for. Same country that Pam's father and brothers served for. And we didn't serve for this. We didn't serve for the evil to be out there. Be devoted to one another in love. Honor one another above yourselves. Everybody. Honor everybody. It's not just those of us who are in here. It's easy to love your church family, usually. I'll admit there's some churches where even that's a little difficult. But it's easy to love people who are like us. It's easy to love people who think like us. Not so much for those who don't. But God doesn't give us a hedge here. We're told very clearly, love one another. Jesus said, love one another as I have loved you. Is there any question as to what that means? Are we like the Jews in the Old Testament where it just goes over their heads? It was clear, it was concise. Never be lacking in zeal. In other words, don't just kind of, But be excited about it. Spiritual fervor, serving the Lord, be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer. Share with the Lord's people who are in need. Practice hospitality. I don't want to see the borders opened. Okay, am I clear? I don't want people to just walk back and forth across our borders because there's evil people out there. But I also don't want people who are suffering to not be able to seek the justice and the help that they need. Do I know what that's going to look like? I don't, but I know it's not looking like what it is now. Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Mourn with those who mourn. Live with harmony, or live in harmony with one another. Again, that's pretty easy within our own little area. But when they're not like us, it's sometimes a little hard. We're being asked nationally to do that now. We've been being asked nationally to do that since Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. We don't have it yet. And it's not just the blacks, it's been the Chinese and the Irish and all the Orientals. It's, just whoever wasn't like us at the time. Live in harmony, don't be proud. Don't be proud, but be willing to associate with people of low position. Don't be conceited. Do not repay evil for evil. Boy, that's easy, isn't it? Oh, no, it's easy to repay evil for evil. It's not easy to not repay evil for evil. Be careful to do what is right in the eyes of everyone. You know how hard it is to please everyone? It's kind of impossible. But do right. Sometimes I'm not pleased by actions that are taken, but at least I recognize it was the right thing to do. Do the right thing. I had to use that line on a medical director the other day. It was like, well, I really can't find a reason to deny it. Well, they need it. We have to do what's right, even if we can't prove that we can prove that it's necessary. We can't prove that it's unnecessary. And if there's any chance in the world that they need it, we need to do what's right and let them have it. If it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. That's the only hedge you get out of this. As far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. You can't make other people live at peace with you. You can't make people like you. You can't make people not hate you. Because people are people and they are what they are. But as best that you can, as far as whatever you can do, live at peace with everyone. Don't take revenge. That falls under the don't repay evil for evil. Don't take revenge. It's God's job. God said that He'll repay. He says, it's mine to avenge. And then here Paul quotes from the Proverbs. He says, if your enemy's hungry, feed him. If he's thirsty, give him something to drink. By doing this, you're going to heap burning coals on his head. This is the proverbial kill him with love. How do you feel if you ever treat somebody poorly? If you're just ugly to them, if you talk ugly about them, and they just treat you so good. I don't know, I feel like a rat. I feel lower than a rat when that happens. Kill them with kindness. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. There are too many people out there right now who have been overcome by evil. They were good people and somehow something has gotten into them and they're not acting as children of God. They are truly acting like children of Satan. They pour hate from their mouth. They perform violence with their fists. Paul tells us, don't do that. Don't be overcome by evil. Rather, overcome evil with good. And you don't do that in your head, folks. It's not something that you suddenly decide on and say, oh, I'm going to do that. Because you got to change your heart. Because evil comes from the heart, not from the mind. And it can only be overcome by good, the good that only God can put in your heart. At one point in our lives, each and every one of us have said, you know, God, I'm just turning this all over to you. I want you in my heart. I want to be like you. I want to be like Jesus. I want salvation. At one point, we've all said that, but somehow some of us have let some evil squeeze back in. Satan he's non-relenting. But Jesus has given us the keys of heaven and hell. And if we tell Satan to get the hell out, he has to leave. Get him out of your heart. Don't be overcome by evil. Don't allow yourself to become overcome by the prevailing presence of this evil that's on our earth. Be transformed by God and the Holy Spirit, and live like what we are. Beloved, created children of God. Let's stand and sing the final hymn. Hopefully it's hymn number 75.